What's up everybody, Arrg the Pirate here, and today let's talk about positioning and rotating as a support hero. Now, having a great support hero is key to having just a successful match. Of course, in the lower skill level matches, supports aren't near as important as they are in later game, but no matter what, having some sort of support is key. And there are several different types of heroes that can be successful as support heroes. Here are just 6 heroes that can play a support role and do very well, although there are a lot more support heroes out there. First, we have Muriel. Muriel is a great shielding hero. Now, this allows heroes to not only not take as much damage during team fights, but if you engage with her shield and preemptively put shields on your team, you can get the other team very low on health before your team really starts to take any damage. This allows you to stay at a higher health and really avoid that burst damage because, hey, you had a shield on. Richter specializes in displacing heroes. With his pull and his ultimate, he can really just secure kills for his team. Not so much him getting the kills, but him allowing people to get kills. He's also very tanky and it's hard to deal with him. Bellica is a great mid lane hero, but does very well as a support since she can zap mana from other heroes or the enemy's team. She has a stun, as well as even if you build her full tank, you can one-shot casters that are out of mana once you hit your max level on your ultimate. Narbash is a frontline fighter who provides a heal for his team. He's got a great range stun, and he can also ultimate a whole team, not only doing a significant amount of damage, but stunning everybody in an AoE circle. Decker is one of the trickiest heroes to learn. Her stun is not a straight path, and it does seem kind of buggy that sometimes you'll hit someone just square in the chest and it won't stun them, but I think that's more of a bug issue, not so much, hey, you didn't throw that stun right. But not only that, her kit can be a little bit tougher for newer heroes, as well as she's more of a team fighter. With her cage, you cannot utilize her cage unless your team is in communication and rotating well. Decker is a great support when it comes to full team communication or full team rotations. If you do not have that, if you're in a solo queue and you're not exactly sure what your team's going to rotate like, Decker might not be the best choice, but she's a great choice for 5 stacks. Lastly, we have FaZe. Now, FaZe is not as much of a team support as the rest of these 6 support heroes are. She makes one hero very strong, but at the same time, she does not really offer just an entire lot of support for her team. Although you can get actives and things like that, playing with FaZe takes a little bit getting used to knowing how to position her because she is more of a backlane fighter or backlane support. So you want to be almost behind your ADC if you're in a team fight. That way you can pull them out, not so much up in the front because you cannot pull him out if you were in the fight. Alright, now let's kind of talk about FaZe. FaZe is a backlane support. That means you want to stand behind the person you are tethered to. Whether this is your ADC or a frontline fighter or whoever you are tethered to, you want to stand behind them. Now, once the engagement starts, you can reposition. If you realize, hey, you have the advantage, then FaZe can really go in and be a distraction. People like to focus FaZe, and this is great for the enemy team, because FaZe can really do a ton of damage with her root, her blind, and her ultimate. And she can also pull people out of that fight. So by isolating FaZe and taking her out early, they're ensuring that they're going to be able to get picks on some of the other heroes. You can use this to your advantage. At the beginning of the fight, like I said, stay back, but once the engagement has started, if you think you will be able to actually do some damage, or if you're going to win this fight and you want to get those kills secured, you can put yourself out in the middle, blind people, root them, and just kind of be a pain so they do have to deal with you. Now, right now, I am tethered to my ADC. This means if I do go into that middle of the fight, the enemy team are going to want to deal with me. Not only because I can't get Twin Blast to escape, but because I'm a fairly squishy hero in the beginning of this game, and they're going to be able to do significant amount of damage. This allows my ADC to really just focus on enemy heroes. So as a FaZe, I am fully trusting my ADC to do damage. Now, if you are new to FaZe, I would not suggest playing her as that kind of rotating frontline hero once the engagement starts, just because she is not the strongest hero in the beginning of the game. Sure, she has some heals, but if you are building her like some of your typical supports, she's fairly weak, and she does not have any type of escape or self-sustain other than her blind. And since they've reduced the duration of her blind, it is much easier for the enemy team to kill you while you're running around in circles, keeping them blinded. Now, FaZe is one of the only supports that I would say you should never be away from your team with. FaZe's kit does not allow her to be successful when she's by herself. She needs to be hooked to a teammate pretty much at all times. Of course, if you are defending a lane or something along those lines, you can disconnect from somebody and then rotate over to someone else or defend that lane solo. She does have one of the better wave clears of a support with her blind, since it does do a substantial amount of damage. Now, FaZe's ultimate is really a make one hero godlike. So you want to really engage with her ultimate. You don't want to take half damage and then use an ult, because that hero might die. You really want to get out there, use your ultimate, and do tons and tons of damage before they realize, oh, this hero's been ulted by FaZe, I need to get out. If you're capable of doing that, that's going to allow you to really burst damage with everybody. And as you see here, I'm going to use my ultimate to save this tower. Although it wasn't the best use of an ultimate, we were able to force these heroes out of tower just from having that little bit of damage, or that little boost of damage from that FaZe ult. So FaZe is a backline support. Let's talk about a frontline support. Narbash is more of a tank support hero. He's really good at getting into a fight, putting his circle on, using his ultimate, thunking heroes and stunning them, allowing your team to get kills. And he's such a big hero, he can body block very well. This is why I tend to build Narbash fairly tanky. And this allows our team to really just do tons and tons of damage, while if we do lose our front lane hero, hey, it's a support. You're not really missing out on anything. Now, if you see here, I'm able to use my thunk to not only secure that FaZe kill, but we end up getting that Zinx kill as well. Now, I am in comms with our ADC once again, and we've got fairly decent communication, so I'm able to tell him, hey, I'm about to thunk this hero, let's go in on her, instead of, hey, let's just retreat. This is also key for really any support. I like playing support mostly whenever I am in comms with the ADC, just because the ADC's job is to get farm and kill things. The support's job is to keep him alive. And if I don't like where the ADC is, I'm going to tell him, hey, you need to move. If you're not in comms with the ADC, you kind of have to run around and follow him. And that's not how a ADC support should really work together. Now, Narbash can not only speed people up, but he can heal in a giant circle around him. This makes him a great frontline fighter because you can kind of have a little bit of sustain while you are taking tons and tons of damage, and since you are building fairly tanky, it's really hard to kill you. So you're not only healing and able to stun people and able to really get that team-wide ultimate off that knocks everybody up, but you're really hard to kill. And since you're so big, people tend to, want to kill you even though they probably shouldn't be focusing you. Narbash is played almost the exact opposite of FaZe. FaZe, if she ever does go into a team fight, it's after the team fight has started, and she's not going to go in if the team fight might be a loss. FaZe is going to go in only to save people or to secure kills. Narbash is the exact opposite. He's your engage. He's going to go in to start the fight, thunk somebody, use his ultimate to displace them, maybe use a march to get your melee team to get closer, throw up his Song of My People and keep everybody healthy, and he's just really an engaged type of support that is built fairly tanky. Of course, you definitely want to add your support cards like Quenching Scales and some sort of shield like Arrg The Pirate. You always want those type of cards with your support, but other than that, you want to build like a tank. Lastly, I'm going to talk about Muriel. Now, Muriel is a mid-range support, so FaZe is in the back, Narbash is in the middle, up in the front. FaZe is hanging out, around your casters or your ADC. She can have, she has range to throw her shields out and everything like that, and she doesn't really offer just an entire lot of damage with her abilities. She does have a slow, but I like to use that I like to use her slow after fights are started to secure kills. I don't want to slow an enemy when the fight starts, that way the slow wears out and allows them to run away. I want to slow a hero once they're at, once they're at half health or a quarter health. That way it allows my ADC to finish her off. Now, one thing, I play all of my, true support heroes such as Narbash and Muriel and FaZe and Decker. I always play full support. This means mostly going into health, mana regen, things like that. I don't typically play with any sort of damage, and that means my basic attacks are really my main source of damage. So this really allows me to focus on my team and helping them survive instead of actually, worried about, hey, I want to get that last hit. I'm not worried about that at all. I want to keep people alive. Now, Muriel is capable of really keeping just the whole entire team alive during a team fight. And one of the best things about her is during a team fight, most people burn all of their cooldowns, abilities, things like that. Most of the time, those are all burned within just a few seconds of the fight starting. So this means, as Muriel, you want to get your shield on your team before the fight actually starts. So let's say a steal comes in to do his ultimate on your entire team. Well, if you can get that shield on before that hits, no one's going to take any damage from that ultimate. But at the same time, if you have someone like Grux that pulls the entire team in, well, you get that shield on whoever he pulls in before the smash and grab actually goes off. They're not going to take any damage from not only his twin pain or double pain, whatever it's called. Not only from that, they're not going to take it from the smash and grab either. That means, a good portion of his damage is going to be completely gone, and now he's on cooldown with those abilities. So just like FaZe being that backlane support that makes decisions based on what she sees, since she is so far back, she's probably got the best eyes on everything. Narbash being that frontline hero that really engages in the fight, and he's able to stun and disorient and do that massive knock up while giving a little bit of sustain to heroes that are around him. Just like those other two supports, Muriel has her own role too, and that is to prevent damage from happening. Now, let's say you get into a fight with Twin Blast, or you get into a fight and your ADC is Twin Blast, and he gets down to 200 health, and hey, it's now time to retreat. You throw your concentrated ground on him, you throw, your ult or your other shield, you just shield him as best as you can, and y'all are retreating. If Gideon hits him with a rock, it's still going to kill him. Now, this is key to how to play Muriel. You want to prevent that damage from ever getting him to that 100 health. If you're able to put your shields on him and keep them on him throughout the whole fight, and he continues to stay in and take that massive amount of damage, that's really on him. That's nothing a support can, prevent. But if you are able to keep that damage off of Twin Blast, and he's really able to just go to town on, really all the heroes and do massive amount of damage, that's great because, hey, you're basically giving him a double life and doing tons and tons of damage, or allowing him to do tons and tons of damage. At the same time, Muriel can be used to go on the offense as well. So say your team is about to go engage. Well, go ahead and throw your engagers a shield or two. Or let's say in that off lane, your off lane hero is taking a ton of damage, or is about to go in on their ADC or something along those lines. Use your ult to get over there, throw some shields up on them, maybe hit them with your quenching scales, those type of things. These are preemptive measures that you need to take as Muriel. You don't want to wait until someone asks for a shield, or wait until they're at half health to actually provide those shields. Providing shields when they're still at full health is a great help because they're never going to take any damage. Let's say you do win that team fight and Twin Blast gets down to half health. Well, he might go ahead and say, I'm just going to back and fill up with health. But if you were there shielding him the whole time, he's not going to have to go back because he'll still be at 3/4 to full health. I really enjoy playing Muriel, and when you're in a competent team or just a full team with her, she can be an absolute blast and really just change the whole way a team fight takes place. She's able to keep the team alive, basically. A lot of the other supports only have, one shield and quenching scales or something along those lines, and Muriel's able to just provide shield after shield and really just keep her team alive. But at the same time, Muriel does not offer near as much damage as some of the other heroes. So it's kind of a give and take. But when you play Muriel, if you are going that full support role, you need to know that you're really not going to ever do any damage. So you have to rely on your team. Alright, let's talk about rotating as a support hero. Now, this is something that I cannot really get footage of in a bot game So I am having to use actual footage from a game, and it is much harder to show like, hey, this is when you rotate and things like that, just because nothing is ever just as perfect as it would be in a bot match. But rotating as a support is done whenever needed, basically. If you see mid lanes about to get a lot of damage coming towards them, rotate over to mid lane to help out. If your off lane is really about to take just a huge wave, head over to off lane to help out. If you aren't actively doing or actively pursuing any type of help, if you don't see a team fights coming up, or if you don't see any sort of engagement that needs a support hero to be there for, you need to be with your ADC. And you let him get all the kills. You want him to be as fully fed with farm as possible. And when you play a support, remember just to stay in that lane with, or just to kind of follow your support around. You as a support do not need levels or player levels or card points as much as the other heroes. So you really just want to support that ADC. But rotating is definitely key. Like right now, you can see over towards the Raptor pit, there's Wukong. I'm going to head over there. You know, he's going to get out, but I want to start heading that way just in case something happens. I can help support him. This also allows me to get into the mid and maybe help out that mid lane. Those type of things. These are the type of rotations you do as a support. You don't rotate for kills, you rotate to prevent deaths. Of course, each hero plays a little different. Muriel can instantly rotate, so she can be by herself a lot more than someone like FaZe, who really has no means of even speeding herself up unless you use your ultimate. And anybody that uses their ultimate to run fast, to either, get into a situation or to get out of a situation, is not really utilizing that ultimate near as well as she should. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this kind of positioning and rotating guide for support. You want to rotate whenever you think you could actually be a help. That is the perfect time for support to rotate. But at the same time, don't get caught out of position because you are one of the weaker heroes. I did try to get footage from bot matches just like I did in the other guides, but when you're in that bot match, it is really, really hard to actually have your teammates do what you want them to do. Since you are the support, they're kind of mindless. They constantly throw themselves at the enemy and then turn around, run away, and go back to base. So it was definitely not easy for me to get, this is what you do in this situation type of videos that could be explained a lot easier. I did hope that seeing some of my gameplay with these three heroes, as well as explaining certain ways of playing heroes, might help you better understand. I wish that the bot matches would have provided a much better option for me. They just really didn't. So I'm thinking I might actually do kind of comprehensive videos on the different types of supports, just because, you can't really film how to do this and how to do that in bot matches. So I might do that in the future, and if that's something you want to see, definitely let me know. Well, thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this video, show me some love, leave me a comment, think about subscribing, and as always, I'll see y'all in the next video.